Hello and welcome to Beth's Book Recommendations. And the book I have for you today is an absolute classic. You might already be familiar with it, but I couldn't leave it out really because it's such a brilliant book, and it's called Lord of the Flies. It's by William Golding. He won the Nobel Prize for Literature for it, and it's absolutely well deserved. It's a brilliantly written book. Every single word is very carefully chosen. You can see the reasons why every word is in there. I'm just going to read the opening of this book to you, then I'll talk to you a little bit about it. The boy with fair hair lowered himself down the last few feet of rock and began to pick his way towards the lagoon. Though he had taken off his school sweater and trailed it now from one hand, his grey shirt stuck to him, and his hair was plastered to his forehead. All round him, the long scar smashed into the jungle was a bath of heat. He was clambering heavily among the creepers and broken trunks when a bird, a vision of red and yellow, flashed upwards with a witch-like cry, and this cry was echoed by another. And that's the very opening of the novel. It's a story about a group of boys aged between about 6 and 11 who end up as a result of some catastrophe in the world, something like a nuclear war, something like that. They end up stranded on a desert island, and they have to create their own society and their own systems for survival. And it's all about the kind of deterioration of the relationships between them, really. William Golding wrote this novel in the aftermath of the Second World War, when he was feeling particularly pessimistic about human nature. He was also working in a boys' school, and this is where he wrote most of the novel, although I wouldn't say that was what made him pessimistic about human nature, but you can make your own mind up about that. So the reason that I chose to read that opening, and the reason why I say it's so good, is because it kind of encapsulates a lot of the ideas that are within the novel. So first of all, we've got him partially taking off his school uniform, and this kind of represents his emergence from a civilized, ordered society into a savage world where dog eats dog, and nature is much more powerful than mankind. Where the aeroplane crashed in the jungle is always referred to as the scar, and that's significant as well because the boys' arrival on this island has disrupted nature enormously, and it becomes a war between them and nature. That they're not really aware of that, but that's ultimately what happens. And so their arrival on the island is destructive, and that's why he describes it as a scar. He talks about him, and often the boys are trying to make their way around the island, scrambling through creepers and trying to make their way through forest. And this kind of symbolises their difficulties in living on the island, the difficulties that they have negotiating their way around the natural world and the problems that presents for them of survival, but also the difficulties that they have negotiating the relationships with one another as well. And then we've got that lovely bit at the end where the bird's scream is described as witch-like. So you immediately know that the setting of this novel is it's not really paradise. At first they think that it is. They think it's going to be like Coral Island. There's a lot of references to Coral Island and parallels with that are interesting to explore as well. But you straight away know that this is not going to end happily for these boys that are on the island. Anyway, it's a really good read. I'd heartily recommend it. Even if you've read it before, read it again. When you read it the second time, you will appreciate the subtleties that are in there, the symbolism that Golding uses throughout the novel, much more than you do the first time when you're reading for the story. And the story's a really good one as well. So enjoy Lord of the Flies by William Golding, and I'll see you again tomorrow for another recommendation. Bye.